Thwip Thwip. I know this movie exists, right? I know Spider-Man No Way Home is a real movie. I've seen it twice. You've seen it, right? We've spoken about it on Twitter. This movie exists, and yet, every time I think about it, feels like a fever dream. It doesn't feel like I actually saw it. It doesn't feel like the things that occurred in the movie actually occurred. It doesn't feel real. The movie doesn't feel real. I'm speechless. I'm still speechless. Thwip Thwip. Spider-Man No Way Home, sequel to Spider-Man Far From Home, which in itself was a sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming, which was a reboot of the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, which itself was a reboot of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man franchise. So we are here after 3 reboots. We have a Spider-Man movie that feels, in a way, like the culmination of all the Spider-Man. It feels like this was planned all along, even though it certainly wasn't. In case you don't know my opinions on the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies in general, I really like most of Homecoming. I think Homecoming is a really great intimate Spider-Man movie until it becomes like the Tony Stark-ish film when, you know, all the Stark technology is introduced and the Vulture is going to steal all this shit. Up until basically like the 3rd act or towards the end of the 2nd, I still like the ending. It's just a bit too much Iron Man bullshit for me. I much prefer the high school element of the first 2 acts. And I like that sequence when he's in the suburbs. I think that's fantastic. And I'm shocked, actually, that it took so many Spider-Man movies to get him into the suburbs. Spider-Man Far From Home, I like as well. I think that is a great little Spider-Man movie too. I like Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal is insane in that film. He's a crazy person. Somebody get this stupid costume off me! It's so good. A lot of these movies kind of fall apart towards the end constantly, and I'm really happy to say that No Way Home doesn't. No Way Home is at its best in the 3rd act, which is just a fucking shocker to experience for a Marvel movie. Spider-Man No Way Home is kind of a movie of 2 halves, or maybe a movie of like 2 acts that are great and one that is kind of like not very good. Albeit there is a great Daredevil cameo. Charlie Cox reprises his role from the Netflix series. When I saw it the first time, I didn't even think about anything else that happened in that 1st act. I didn't really pay attention to anything else until Dr. Octopus was introduced, which was basically where the movie kind of picks up. Initially, it's not dark or it's not serious, but there is an element of like, we're taking this identity's been revealed thing very seriously. This is important. And it's like, you know, no one gives a fuck. Marvel movies traditionally, like, they're great for the first like 2 acts, and then the 3rd act always overstays its welcome. This is not the case. This one, like, shitty 1st act, phenomenal 2nd act, just a masterful 3rd act. Like the kind of 3rd act that I didn't want to end. And I guess that is nostalgia. Like that is inherently what nostalgia means, right? Is to hold on to the past. What's interesting to me about this movie is that it's not holding on to the past. It's holding on to the past, but seeing how it can be better. Seeing what you can learn from the past and how you can try and not make those mistakes in the present. As far as Tom Holland as Spider-Man is concerned, I think he gives his best performance in No Way Home. In the previous movies, I kind of found that he was a bit annoying. This movie is like way more along the lines of what I sort of imagine as Spider-Man. Like he's way more serious. He's dealing with a situation that requires a lot more responsibility. And it sort of grounds him in a way that the other movies really didn't. There is a sense of like, your actions have consequences in this movie that the other 2, I don't really think they did. You know, Iron Man dying, sure, is like a consequence, but like, it's not his fucking fault that Iron Man is dead. This Peter Parker, in my opinion, hadn't really suffered legitimate loss yet. And so that's why I was really excited when I read early reviews for this that was saying like, this is a really personal story for Peter Parker. It's a way more intimate tale. And ultimately, Spider-Man loses a lot in this film. And so actually seeing it, I was so happy that those reviews were not kind of, you know, overblown or anything. They were actually in my opinion, they were kind of underblown. You know what I mean? I didn't expect Spider-Man to suffer so much as he did in this film here, which basically all stem from the fact that he inherently is trying to do a good thing. And that's what I really liked about this film way more than the previous ones, is that a lot of the plot and a lot of the character motives are all derived from Peter Parker kind of seeing the best in people too often. Him caring about people too much, and ultimately it coming around and biting him on the ass, is something that I love about the character. And I'm so happy that this movie kind of nailed it.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
We should probably talk about what everyone really wants me to talk about. I was sitting there and, you know, I thought all hope was lost, and then suddenly, boom! Jamie Foxx was back as Electro, and my heart soared. It was so funny for them to take this character, to bring him back, only to completely change everything about him, to actually reference that with a great little moment where the Lizard talks about how the last time he saw Electro, he was a fucking nerd with a comb over. Then he mentions wanting to give him a makeover. Electro is like, let me guess, is the makeover gonna be me turning into a giant lizard? And it's like, it's great. The film pokes a lot of fun at the previous Spider-Man villains and films. There is a lot of great callbacks and memes. Specifically, you know, I'm something of a scientist myself. It was a packed screening where I saw it for the first time. It was like teenagers. I was like the oldest person in the cinema, and I'm 23. And so all these people are clapping at every moment. They're fucking losing their mind. And then Willem Dafoe says the scientist line, and it was like me and maybe like 2 other people behind me just clapped. And like, it was like, oh my God, like the real OGs, man. Like, we fucking know. We know Spider-Man. I'm not gatekeeping, but we know.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Willem Dafoe in general in this film was like, I don't think that guy has ever phoned in a performance ever. Like, he is so fucking committed to that Green Goblin role. He is like so iconic in that role, and seeing him again, like basically 20 years later, it's fucking insane. I don't know how anyone will ever sort of play the Green Goblin again after seeing that. You know, like, he's so good at being bad. And in this movie as well, he's fucking delicious. Like, he's so evil and sinister. And his only objective is to ruin the lives of as many people as possible. And I really fuck with that. I love that. That to me is like Green Goblin. That to me is Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. And it was just a delight to see him just have so much fun. And it was great to see a Spider-Man movie, and, you know, a Marvel movie actually, that has a villain that is like just not like, you know, see my side. You know what I mean? Like, he was just a bad motherfucker, and it was great. And he like made people suffer. He fucking kills Aunt May. It's fantastic. That ties into sort of that responsibility theme that, you know, Peter Parker makes the decision to try help these people, try help these villains cure themselves so they don't die in their own realities. And in doing that, it bounces back on him. Like, Aunt May dies, all the villains escape, and he's just left at his lowest of lows. When they introduce the guys that you really want to see, like Toby and Andrew, who are fucking phenomenal, it's like, as a storytelling platform, it's like the perfect timing for it as well. Like, it is quite literally, if you're looking at the hero's journey, you know, it's the dark night of the soul. Like, he's lost everything, and then, you know, you get this oomph of hope, this serotonin hit when you see Andrew Garfield run through the little Doctor Strange portal. It was just, I don't know, it was so special. And seeing those characters again, it was like, it's like sort of catching up with people that you hadn't seen for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like, I was so emotionally there when I saw Andrew and Toby, and it was like, it was really special, you know what I mean? Because, you know, when you lose track of people and you don't see them all the time, it's like, you gotta hope they're all right. It's always nice to get a bit of closure. And when these characters sort of appear, it is that sort of like cathartic moment where you're like, all right, they're okay. You know what I mean? Like, things worked out for them. I'm really happy that they're still going. And look, I understand sort of like, this is one of those movies where like, I read negative reviews, I read negative comments, negative letterbox things, and like, I get it. And yet, I don't give a shit. You can give me every argument in the book and I'll agree with you, right? I don't care. I got to see my fucking heroes again. Like, I got to see them swing around together. That was something that in my lifetime, I never thought I would experience, right? I never thought I would see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man fight some version of the Lizard on the big screen. I never thought I'd see that, but I did. I never thought I would see Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man actually, like, experience grief and experience trauma and devolve beyond it and grow and see a bit of hope. There is a beautiful moment in the movie that I saw on Twitter. I saw someone saying that like months ago, saying, oh, it would be amazing if they did this. And I was thinking like, that would never happen. That's such a fan thing. That would never happen. No way would they be that smart to do that. Zendaya's MJ is falling down and Tom jumps down to grab him, but he's fucking hit away by the glider. And then Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man jumps down and saves MJ. And it's like this cathartic moment for him where he fucking saved the girl. Like, that was just... I understand that it was nostalgia bait. I understand all of that. But fuck, man. I got misty-eyed 3 or 4 times in that film. Once when Andrew, of course, saved MJ. When Aunt May died and gave the great power comes great responsibility thing. When they were all swinging around together on the Statue of Liberty. When they were all swinging around together on the Statue of Liberty, that fucking hit me as well. And then the moment that I did not expect. I didn't expect it to exist. I am so grateful that it does. It's the moment where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man meets up with Alfred Molina's Doc Ock again. And Dr. Octavius is now he's Dr. Octavius again. He's no longer Doc Ock. And they have this beautiful moment. And it's like, you know, Doc Ock says, like, look at you. You're all grown up. How you going? And Tobey simply says, it's such a simple line, but it's his fucking eyes, man. I've missed seeing those eyes on the big screen. He's so, like, endearing. And he says, I'm trying to do better. Fuck, man. I was a mess. I was a mess. It's like, I have not seen this character on screen since like 2007. And there he is, saying these lines. And it was just, Jesus, look. I think I'm tearing up now thinking about it. Like that's how fucking insane that is. So I've seen people compare this movie to like The Rise of Skywalker in the sense that, you know, like they're both pretty nostalgia driven narratives that are like the third chapter of a trilogy that kind of had no setup to exist, right? So I think the comparisons are fair. But what is different about this film compared to something like The Rise of Skywalker is that it's not nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia, right? I disagree with that because if it was, I think there was an easier way to do this. You could have had these characters just pop up. You could have had Alfred Molina be bad again, and Willem Dafoe is bad, and Jamie Foxx is bad, right? And Tobey and Andrew are perfect characters, and they have no flaws, and they're fantastic. Like, we're back to Spider-Man stuff, right? If the film gives every character proper development and an arc, I would argue, for every character, even the villains. This didn't need to do that, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't need to have an arc for all these characters. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man didn't need a fucking arc. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man didn't need an arc. But they did that. John Watts and the writers Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, I believe, they did that. As someone that loves those original films and someone that, you know, really likes the Andrew Garfield movies, it was so nice to have characters that were not just like nostalgia, like, look at them, aren't you happy to see them? But rather, these are characters that have flaws, that have made mistakes, and are trying to grow. That is what the whole movie is about. It's about making mistakes and growing. That ending was just everything I've wanted from a Spider-Man movie for so long. Like, I've dreamed of a Spider-Man film with Tom Holland where he makes a decision that really fucks with him. But it is so clearly the right decision. And it's a beautiful moment. Wipes the memories of everyone. And so he goes and sees MJ and he's going to tell her. And he gets there and he sees that MJ is in MIT. You know, she's best friends with Ned. Her life is good. And it's like this beautiful moment that is like soul crushing. Where it's like he makes the right decision. He makes the decision that he's so selfless to not get her involved. And it's like, that was beautiful. It was everything I'd wanted from these movies. And then to see him move into the shitty apartment, to see him make his own suit on a sewing machine, to see the beautiful suit in the big finale, that was just... it's everything I wanted from one of these films, man. I understand that it's kind of needless to bring these characters back. I understand that this film really should have been a Spider-Man on the Run movie with like Kraven as the villain or something. I completely get it, and I actually agree. But the thing is, right, there's always time for that sort of film. You may never get Tobey's schedule to line up, and Andrew's schedule to line up, and Tom's schedule to line up, and Alfred Molina's schedule, and Willem Dafoe's schedule, and Jamie Foxx, and all these people free to do this one fucking movie. You may never get that again. You can always do a Kraven movie. You can always do a Spider-Man on the Run film. But there's something special, man. There was something special about seeing those characters back on the big screen. Seeing them not just as these carbon copy, perfect versions that they once were, but seeing them as kind of real people. That was special. That is different. That is where this film is better than nostalgia bait bullshit that is on our screens. That is why I think Spider-Man No Way Home is excellent. That is why I really adored this movie. And that is why I am so happy to see where Tom Holland's Spider-Man goes next. I'm so happy that there is the possibility that Andrew Garfield may be the Spider-Man in the Venom universe. Please, Sony, please. Sony, please. If you are listening to me, Sony, if you are listening to me, Avi, make Andrew Garfield the Spider-Man of the Venomverse. Please. But yeah, I mean, as obviously you can tell, I love Spider-Man. I love this film. I don't really do ratings on here. I try to stay away from them. I do ratings on Letterboxd, so you can follow me on Letterboxd. It's letterboxd/IamThatRobbie. I post a lot of my thoughts on there. You can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/IamThatRobbie. And you can always subscribe to this channel here. Please, I've been trying to hit 100,000 subscribers for maybe a year. And it's hard, man. Yeah, I'm really curious as to the thoughts of all of you regarding this film. I want to know what your favorite bit was. I want to know if the nostalgia was too much nostalgia for you or if it just worked. I would love for them to sort of introduce, like, have the Kingpin or do some sort of lower stake stuff with him. Maybe have a little Daredevil team up. I think could be really fun. Because I think Daredevil is one of the few characters that Spider-Man could team up with to the point where it doesn't feel like he's sort of losing a character in itself. Like, Daredevil is not some rich billionaire who will give him a new suit. You know what I mean? He's a fucking blind lawyer. So I think that would be really great. But yeah, I'm just so excited to see where the college trilogy takes Spider-Man next. Like, I'm really, really excited. And I'm really keen to see how they do Harry Osborn, if they do Harry Osborn. I think they have to. Like I said at the start of this review, man, like, I can't believe this movie exists. I don't think I'm ever going to believe it exists until I'm, like, watching it on my computer and there's, like, actual tangible shots of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Like, I don't think I will believe it. Even though I've seen it twice and I'm going to see it again next week. I don't think I'll properly believe it until, like, they go on an interview run and actually say they're in it. As I said, I loved No Way Home. I thought it was just the Spider-Man movie I've been waiting for with Tom Holland. And I'm really excited to see where they take this character next. As always, you know, like, comment, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff. And until next time, bye-bye.
Harry tells me you're quite the science whiz. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.